far their weakest game, and game one today was also fairly weak. So it's almost one of those things like whenever you come in and you just get a duo of your friends, you run in, you murder everything, and you feel good, and then you start thinking about and trying to create the strategy. I'm almost kind of curious to see if that might be one of their handicaps at this point, because you can see that they're trying to take really long rotations that aren't necessarily working out for them, because everywhere they choose to crash into, they just have guns ablazing come in their way. But we do have a plane path that's coming up and going right through the center of the map on an east-west push. Gonna make it a little bit rough for the guys that like to go down towards military base or the guys that like to go down to Primorsk. But if you're one of the teams that like to play the center of the map or the north, you're feeling pretty good right now.
Absolutely. Now, every team now having the option to move through basically the north half of the map. That was a bit of a harsher plane path than what we've normally seen. So for Tempo Storm, we have not actually seen them able to get situated. Last game was very tough for them. Normally occupying the Gatka region. They're going to try and float down there. You can see Tempo Storm already in their parachutes. But for a team like Wildcard, headed down to Primorsk, trying to figure out now, are we going to hit those vehicles? But for them, it's going to be important to get down there. The first circle revealing itself. Now, this is Tempo Storm's opportunity. This is the game that you want to get looted, get situated, find that compound, and there are several important ones. And Matrim, if you're going to choose one here, what's your favorite compound here?
Inside of this area of the map, I would have to say it's probably going to be around the I'd say right in through here. I really like this location.
Fair enough, and that's a good spot as well. There's so many opportunities there where we can see teams take control, especially choke points and that Chopsticks region. And for those following at home, the Chopsticks area, right where you see Dre starting to land. A huge important hold, and we saw a lot of action there yesterday.
One of the things to note, though, Tempo Storm's strategy of dropping into this area, trying to go out, collect some loot, everybody separate out, go to the four corners, and make as much as you can out of all these buildings that are scattered everywhere, works well to a certain point. Whenever you have everybody that's going to be collapsing into this, they're coming in late. They did manage to get a gun. They're trying to scare out the guys from Wildcard right now. But they don't necessarily have a chance to really loot at this stage. Everybody's going to start flooding down to this general vicinity.
Absolutely.
So they're not going to be able to separate out safely, because that's the risk. Whenever you separate out, a squad can just roll up on your solo, destroy you. So now it's going to have to play off of a little bit of a different strategy. Now you can see that they want to separate out. They want to get that loot, but they need to get the vehicles, and they need to reconvene as quick as possible, so that way whenever all these people start flooding into this area, they just don't have tons of squads just dropping onto their solos.
And the second, I guess, factor for this particular circle is the fact that the landmass is so small in this situation. A lot of water involved here, so that means the initial amount of space is just not going to be there, and that's going to make it very difficult for teams on the right side of the map, especially along that kind of right side where it's going to be a lot of pressure. We can already see a team like NRG holding on to that Pachinki region in a position to gatekeep, but they also have the position to get centered and just kind of come in very quickly if they want to. So for them, it's going to be a choice. Do they want to start racking up kills, getting aggressive, or staying safe and grabbing that center compound?
They can play a lot of really interesting points of the map inside of this circle that we're in right now. You can see a lot of the teams really enjoy playing along the hills. Specifically, there's two nice hillsides, the ones that's just a little bit to the east of Quarry and then off to the northeast of that. You can make sure that you get in a lot of nice divots, catch people as they're coming through, because you have a high ground position that you can look down from, and a lot of like nice little terrain pieces that you can play around. See, Sharky's trying to figure out where they're wanting to go. Looks like they're already opting into a fast movement, already feeling fairly looted. He's going to be coming out over here all by his lonesome. Looks like he's kind of filling a scout role inside of this, trying to figure out what might be the best place for them to play around, because again, well, that's one of the reasons why Tempo Storm kind of gets this location themselves. It's not necessarily the prime looting position, but you kind of have to kind of find your own home. Every team has like their own little spot over here that they like to play.
And for Tempo Storm, they haven't actually spread out in the sense that, or in the way that we've normally seen. Now, this is where teams are going to start to bet on whether the circle is going to shift south or north. Tempo Storm, even though they're currently in their loot phase, Bawaka also using his Jedi powers to float from house to house. I'm interested to see now who is going to opt to try and take that northern compound versus the southern open area, because when we have this water, typically the circle shift will come north first.
Correct. And it could be interesting to see as well, because we have our guys, Honeybadgernation, that's over there in Novo. They're going to have to push out and around. Sometimes we actually see a lot of teams opting into playing around the gas station that's just up in the northeast of Ferry Pier in that area, right around the western bridge. So we could see them being caught in actually a bridge camp, which doesn't happen a ton inside of competitive PUBG. But I do know that that gas station tends to be quite loved, as it looks like, I believe, Eunited is already driving around that general vicinity.
Look at Spacestation, way up in the Komeshki region, not not able to, I guess, grab that ferry pier area considering the plane path, but they dropped early, and there's just nothing there for them as far as a vehicle is concerned. So now it's going to be a situation where they have, again, a long transition for Spacestation, something that's been hurting them.
And this is exactly where we make the joke with it. Kameshki can sometimes just be a kamikaze call because now if they don't have those vehicles, they're going to have to trek on foot. You know that there's not a lot of meds up there. You know there's not a lot of nice loot nodes. So you're going to be taking a ton of blue damage and having to walk into a party that's already started at that point, already weakened.
So for Spacestation, we'll have to check back in with them as we see their loot phase well underway. The circle, the first shift, 30 seconds away. Spacestation Gaming, a team that's always been like that 8th place, that on the bubble, not quite able to translate some 1 or 2 game successes into overall success. For any other teams like that kind of stand out to you in this tournament?
Well, we've actually seen that kind of happening with a couple of these teams here. Team Gates is one of those teams that always manages to qualify in. They just want to go a little bit further with it. Totality has been having that same trouble for the last couple of months. I know a lot of Totality fans are out there, but sorry to break it to you guys, they just haven't quite made past that bubble. They always get into about that 8th, 7th place spot. They can't quite get the consistency. Yeah, NA.
Yeah, I mean, and that's something that we do see a really a top-heavy amount of skill between the top teams in North America. Optic, Ghost, to name a few, and then there's kind of the rest.
Well, and then there's all the unsigned teams, as we're seeing inside of this event. Unsigned teams in North America can just show up and they just perform so well. They have the time to kind of cut their teeth in the online events, and then they just come in, and they just come in with just a joy to be here, and they're just so happy to have a chance to perform.
No doubt. And really, I guess this tournament is such a great opportunity for those who did not have an opportunity to get signed, weren't there at the beginning, trying to climb their way up the ladder. And for a team like Honeybadgernation, currently in a great position. And speaking of which, we see NRG, a relatively new signed team as well, getting engaged with Cloud9 as we join Janark, taking shots at Riem. And that's Kamon taking the first one off of Cloud9. And another one coming maybe as the buggy spins out.
You know, he's just trying to run off into the distance. You can see the green coming through, and that's going to be stabbed and knocked down. They were actually being forced to play around. The Riem is down and out right now. Cloud9 had such a great performance inside of the last round, and they've already lost 2. Meanwhile, Gankstars, you can see that they couldn't find themselves at home. They were driving around out in the middle of all this as well, and they had 2 downs that occurred inside of that.
Yeah, I really like the way that NRG stays aggressive, but we've seen this game in and game out from them where they get aggressive in the early game, get a couple of kills, as we see Riem, and I'd be interested to see for K-Mind and the rest of NRG how they're kind of communicating this very, very hectic situation.
There's people in the compound, people in the compound. Let's go for yellow, let's go for the hill.
They pop me, I'm dead. Unless you can pick me up.
We need to get out of here.
I need to pick you up, Willie.
I'm going for his narc, Okay, you're going, Willie? Good. I'm gonna go to the hill. I'm gonna go to the hill right now.
Go.
I'm left.
What? Are you coming back?
What's the barn? Where's... Okay. Are there people in the barn, K-Mine?
Yeah, there is. I heard just there. Don't go there.
You can stop in this smoke, K-Mine.
Yo, there's forces flying, Willie. We shouldn't go
I'm going for the orange building here.
I can stop in the smoke, you sure?
Yes.
Okay.
There's people in front of us, Willie.
I'm in.
Oh, fuck.
Where do we go, Willie?
Oh, we've all had that one happen before.
And that's an unfortunate, and you can see a rotation.
I don't fucking know, man!
All right, so
live audio, ladies and gentlemen.
I think we've all had that happen, and the exact same comments happen inside of our comments when we've been running through. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I really love that, regardless of language chosen, you can see the tenseness that comes along with these rotation phases. And for a team like NRG, when it starts to come apart from you, the frustration comes. But for K-Mine and Penta, now having to choose the shack as Wooly is finished off, unfortunate start for them. Again, aggression not translating into success.
They did such a great job. They got the foothold they wanted. They were taking the shots, and they did a great job of scaring everybody out and away from them. You know, we saw them get the kills on the Cloud9, forcing them out and away. But then the problem is they decided to move, and they've already forced everybody around them into all the positions that they wanted to transition to, and they were just driving around in circles, stuck out inside of there. Meanwhile, Honeybadgernation's just kind of cutting out and through like, hey, thanks, NRG. You took all the bullets for us, guys. We're just going to go take where you were just at.
And Avalier taking a down there from his teammate Hetro. Eunited in an interesting spot here. They do have the flexibility to take a lot of shots here. I really like this spot from them. For now, I guess we'll see as this first circle shifts. Again, seeing Ghost arriving late. Spacestation Gaming actually beating them there from Kameshki.
Well, we've been seeing that with Ghost. I'm thinking they're fully aware that shooting is their Primarch skill. They know that they can get the kills if they can survive to the stage. So they've opted into a very passive movement. They're playing outside the blue. They want to come in late. But the problem is they keep choosing a path where 3 teams have already crashed. You know, they're going where they think is most logical. The other teams are already thinking is most logical. And then they're just coming in late with blue damage and then just getting torn apart by the squads that are in a position.
No doubt. And now we can see again that center density right around this area is just very, very, it's going to be a situation now where teams are just going to be taking shots at each other, but this shift is going to dictate what happens next.
And it's going to be so hard for a lot of these teams to untangle themselves because you can see they're all within a couple of 100 meters of each other. A lot of their vehicles are already taking damage. We were seeing tires being popped everywhere in that last transition. So now it's about the resources that they have remaining at this stage. What part of the map are they going to have to be forced into? And actually, we already assume that's going to be a little bit towards the north, probably around the Gak area. And no, it's not. It's a hard shift west. That's going to be so many of these teams having to reposition at the direct time. Really, only Tempo Storm, the guys that are so comfortable playing around this area, they opted into Quarry in a high ground position, and everybody has to come to them and Slime Squad.
Absolutely. So Slime Squad and Tempo Storm in a great spot here. Now there's going to be a massive amount of pressure along this right side of the play zone. There's going to be a ton of transitions already happening. Primorsk there as well. Wildcard moving out and away. So now I believe Tempo Storm has probably the best overall spot in this current play zone, but they don't have 4 guns lined up here. As Motivate transitioning past them, we'll see if they can pick up their first kills here.
Trying to line up the shots on top of them. Going to go a little bit wide, but they're going to get a second chance on Motivate as they come back right next to him. You can see just firing down off of this hillside, not quite connecting with the shots and going to force Motivate out the way.
Oh no,
But
Cloud9.
Cloud9 runs into the wrong squad as Wildcard finally comes alive and gets some shots and gets some kills on top of this. There are so many squads coming in the southern area over here. Space Station Gaming following behind Orbits. Eunited's coming off over there. We've got Nova that's trying to make their way back down to their home from Morsk over there, trying to see if they can get something out of this. Wildcard managed to finally get their foothold, get their positioning. All the squads opted into a southern push out and around and now forced on top of the coast.
This is a situation where playing the edge of the circle is probably going to be the preference as Eunited continuing to stay active. They are taking down Orbit in transition. So now Eunited and Slime Squad very, very active here. I would like to see them essentially try and entrench, which clearly they have in this one very important building very near the center of the play zone.
Look in the northern area of the circle. We've got the guys from Optic that have 3 different squads they're trying to push down on top of them. Totality had to repush. They're having to shift back out off of their path that they're trying to come along. Team Gates is now coming down there, and off in the distance, it's going to be Ghost making their same path over there. We're watching right now the guys from Wildcard. They're taking pot shots on anybody as they crest the top of that hill.
No doubt. For Wildcard, this is now for their opportunity to get some kills, essentially. But again, to my spread from his team, you can see the rest of Wildcard in the compound below. To my opting to try and snipe here, Locknarb and Nova getting into it with Honeybadgernation. Why in this instance is Tumai so far from the rest of his team?
I think he's just trying to play for information at this stage. You can see that he's playing around this dip, and we know that a lot of people are going to be pushing in here. So you can almost provide a little bit of an outside perspective on it, make sure that any guys that might try to crash, because you have to assume most of these guys are going to try for a reposition on the outside of it. Nova's still got a little bit of control over there, but Honeybadgernation is right at their feet. So every time they try to step around and figure out who it is that's taking these sniper shots at him, Honeybadgernation can just pop up and take those shots.
Really liking the positioning of Nova here as we...
Fire gets run over.
Unfortunate as Cover Fire finished off. Now Nova trying to get his bike to stand still for him. As Landoon does get it to go here. So for Honeybadgernation and Orbit, I think they both ran into Nova independently. Wildcard there as well. I think Honeybadgernation definitely getting the short end of that stick. Only Wick left standing.
And now we have a little bit more of that fight that's brewing up in the northern area as we have Ghost that's pushing hard into Totality. Got God Squad caught up in a little bit of a fight with Flyquest in another part of the map. Optic is also right up on top of it. Totality Smithy getting the down and an instant kill onto McCoy.
Really liking the Optic and Dignitas positioning here. Interested to see will Optic get aggressive? That's something that I think that they may have lost from day number 1 after they took that win. They haven't really been active here in game number 2, so of today, I should say. But for Dignitas, again, good positioning.
Yeah, we've got Dignitas always getting in that prime arc position, doing such a great job on getting inside of these fights, but everybody just always seems to know where he's at. So we've got Dignitas and Optic. They're kind of fighting anybody as they try to push in. We saw Ghost take that loss and have to push out and around. Finally, the guys from Nova playing the top of that hill. Looks like they got the down on the Timid that was right next to them. Circle is going to just continue pushing along this western coast as Optic and Dignitas now realize they are outside of the safe circle, hopping in their vehicles and just driving along, leisurely drive along the coastline.
Yeah,
there.
the beach route is safe for now, but they will be headed right towards Motivate and a transitioning Dignitas. This circle now starting to punish teams who are on the edge of the northern part of the play zone, especially Totality, again, finding themselves in a position to rotate late. Ghost arriving late as well, taking fire from Gankstars. Flyquest and God Squad also engaging as we join Optic, landing on top of Dignitas.
Taking the shots, trying to line it up. They do get the down onto one of them, but it's a return down. Valiant's trying to play around the outside of this wall because he's playing around the UAZ. He knows where the members are. It's so risky to go for the res. They did get the down on the kill. Wookie Bookie could come around this corner at any given second, and that was just a perfect push by Valiant to avoid those shots right as soon as Wookie Bookie peeked. The rest of Optic is now crashed down back behind him, providing a little bit of cover for Hetror as he is bleeding out. He's now repositioned back behind the UAZ. You can see the guys are wanting to run over there, but Gustav has got that nice side flank on it. He can push, but it's so risky. Meanwhile, there's still an outside fight that's happening on this as the guys from Motivates are just taking some shots down on this. So we are going to do a quick listen in to the guys from Optic as they take this fight.
Oh, as Baja Waka does go down, really liking this setup from them.
They're wrapping the east side.
And so now he's looking up for the shots. Valiant does see him taking a couple of shots at the wall. Hypoc does get down inside of this. This is turning terrible for Optic.
So that's unfortunate for them. You can see the disappointment, and that's a wipe for them. So that's Optic eliminated, and you can see just the sadness on their faces, and really not a lot of communication happening from them during that situation. You got to wonder, is this a time where they're maybe shutting down?
It seemed like they were just kind of caught unawares. It seemed like they knew what was going on, but they just got pincered between two different teams. They made the full commit onto Dignitas, and it just didn't quite play out for him. Gustav with that beautiful back flank on there. Meanwhile, Nerf me please, he's just like, hey, if it's just going to keep pushing to the west coast, let's just go full on west coast. And he's found himself a rock to play off of over there.
No doubt. Now, checking in with Nova, still holding on to this hilltop position. They've kind of, man, that's a saturation. Not going to miss anything with that.
Got a little bit of saturation going on.
It must hurt to like look at real colors after that. As you can see, Nova just pressuring everyone around them, not allowing any encroachment. And they're dead center.
Look at NRG, though. They have opted into going into a boat, and they're around on the outside of this. They're just letting everybody fight. They've got Pentalol and K-Mine left, and they're like, nah, you guys just do you. We're going to hang out over here. We'll join the party in a bit.
So for... Water. Yeah, I see it.
Are they confirming where they are?
It's like, water. Yeah, there's a lot of water around you guys. They're pulling out and getting out of there.
How did we get here? We're in the water. So for K-Mind and Penta, how are they going to make landfall here as Nova has the beach completely secured? Now it is Ghost and God Squad finally tangling up a little bit on the edges of the play zone. That northern half, they're still banking these teams on this water shifting out of the play zone, and we're about to see what happens.
What's really interesting, though, is, again, Tempo Storm is so comfortable in this area. They are not being too loud, but they're just shifting from complex to complex. They feel strong. Circle now goes over and favors them, and they are in such a great spot now.
Absolutely. So now these teams that have favored that northern portion, Totality finally getting something to go their way. We see Team Gates actually in the dead center, but Tempo Storm arguably with the best position.
A little bit of a fight happening on the outside of his. Ghost does come alive. Looks like they're going to take down most of God Squad. I believe that might be the entirety of that squad finished off. But now as Ghost is kind of trying to crawl up over the quarry side of it, Tempo Storm is going to be able to get some line of sight on him. Meanwhile, Fear is going to be driving straight into where Team Gates is positioned at.
So now this is going to be a situation for Dignitas. They've been kind of moving around the edge of the play zone. Are they going to be able to do anything about Motivate? Maybe they're looking down to try and take that compound away from them, but Slime Squad has their sights trained on Totality. Dignitas, it's time to kind of put up or shut up, I believe.
Well, one of the other interesting things about this is we still have NRG driving around outside the boat, can't find anywhere to make landfall at. Circle's still forcing them out there. That I feel really bad for them. You know, it's a great idea.
NRG can't get in. They're just,
they're just held on the outside, just on the outside of the circle over there. We can't quite see them on the minimap at the direct time. Slime Squad guys look like they've gotten into a little bit of a comfortable position. Tempo Storm's kind of taking some shots at everybody as they're coming through. Dignitas did lose on Civil early, but that hasn't kind of changed their playstyle. They're not afraid to take these shots, get into these positions that they feel are really strong, and try to get the kills off of it.
So Slime Squad now finally taking a couple of shots at Totality, taking out Smithy. Tempo Storm holding out Ghost. Ghost relatively inactive here. They did get some kills onto God Squad, so now we're going to see, are they able to make their way into the play zone?
So we've got Microfry over here trying to get the res up onto them. They've got the smoke. Should be fairly safe. As we can see off in the distance, it's going to be the guys from Trigger Happy that are kind of pinned down inside of that shack. They can't peek out without the guys from Wildcard or Nova taking shots. So that's how Eunited's kind of managed to get into this position. Taking a couple of pot shots back over towards Spacestation Gaming is going to be Geis.
So for Eunited, they have had a good spot so far. Spacestation Gaming looking in their direction, but they've taken a couple of shots here, so I think that most teams are aware of where they're at. Now for Dignitas, this is a great little ridge to hold. Motivate has the compound just next to them. I think they're more interested in Orbit.
I mean, they're the closest threat to them, so I can understand why that would be. Specifically, Adam, his job is to look back over there, make sure that nobody from kind of pushes over into this direction. Meanwhile, Tempo Storm, just look up on top of this. They've got so much control of everything that's around them right now. This is such a strong position. As long as nobody can crest up over this hill and come down back behind them into this building complex, Zampa's sole role right now is to stop them and not let H-Win or any of these other guys push this direction.
I really like how this is forming up between Eunited and Spacestation Gaming as NRG has made landfall.
They did it
and arrived with Motivate's compound. So this is now a situation. Can NRG get a foothold here just long enough to survive the initial push that this next shift is going to cause?
They still have to make it inside of the safe zone. Their positioning is not yet quite safe. They've got the shots. They're trying to line it up on the window. Blaze takes a lot of damage. K-Mind is going to have to try to get some shots off onto this. You can see the rest of the guys from Motivate trying to get into a little bit of a control area around them. They're going to have to push out and forward. Blue is probably about another 5 or 10 seconds behind them, and at this point, it really hurts. K-Mind looks like he finally saw exactly where one of them was. Got a little bit of a head peek, going back and forth, trying to connect the shots a little bit wide. K-Mind knows that he has to make this push, so he's just stepping out, trying to line up, hits it through the window. This is the opportunity that they needed. Now he's just got to figure out how he wants to play this. He doesn't know what building they're around. He's pushing over to the right side, praying that everybody's inside of there because they know that they got a couple of shots onto Blaze. So this is great knowledge. Come out and around, let the res happen on the other side of it. Now they have control on one of them, so this is essentially a 2v3 because Zed is a hostage at this point.
So for NRG, they do have the foothold they needed, but now it is a 3v2 situation with all information on the side of Motivate. Can they execute? K-Mind and Penta, two top-tier players as far as fragging ability is concerned. Will they be able to displace Motivate as we see the circle shift further to the center, still favoring Tempo Storm and Team Gates?
Team Gates is playing around a nice angle there, but you can see it's starting to turn into a real bloodbath on top of this hill. Anytime somebody peeks up here, Spacestation Gaming and Eunited have been caught in a long fight. Pinto looks like they do finally get a couple of kills off onto this. On the outside of that fight we were just watching a second ago, it looks like you can see that Vegas is trying to come back over into this area, and it looks like he might actually be in a little bit of trouble over there.
So for Eunited, they've managed to stave off the damage as it looks like NRG is really taking it to Motivate on the edge of the circle. And now Nova's going to have to push off their hill, set up their vehicle compound. There's no other options for them. Tempo Storm is playing a great role as gatekeepers. You can see them in the top end of your screen. They have both Space Station and Eunited held completely out of the zone.
Meanwhile, it's all about the transitions from all these teams that are on the outside. Dignitas opts into hopping into a vehicle. They're just going to hard drive through this. Meanwhile, NRG is still staying up and active around Motivate. Looks like Gustav and the rest of his team are going to get into a good position on this, but NRG still under fire. Inferno's kind of trapped down back behind them. You can see K-Mine knows exactly where he is.
How did they get the zone on them? They have the zone on them now. NRG has taken essentially a full squad in a 2v4, having come off a boat. K-Mine doesn't even have a sight on his UMP, and they have almost eliminated Motivate, and they have the zone on them now, but they have to move. They have to move into their next position.
Looks like Dignitas was taking some pot shots over towards Motivate and really forced them to play back over there. Inferno's just laying down on the ground. He's just going to opt into meds at this point. NRG's just going to have to figure, was that a smoking motorcycle that they're thinking about taking? Meanwhile, we've got our guys over here with Eunited. Right down below them is going to be Wildcard. You can see all the smokes that they're out right now. Shots are trying to go back and forth. Zampa has left his safety and is coming up right next to Eunited. Lines up some nice shots, gets it down onto 1, it gets it down onto 2. That's going to be terrible for the guys in the Eunited.
That is a classic Zampa. For those of you who have been following PUBG for a long time, Zampa will go out on a limb to get the frags he needs. He goes up and does a ton of damage to Eunited, destroying them out in the field, and now Wildcard has to move on to tempo as well.
Look at this confidence. They had a controlled point, one of the sections of the map that you know everybody wants to play around inside of this building complex, and they're like, no, this fight's been going on too long. Let's step up, let's take it, let's get these kill points and retreat back, and it plays off so well for them.
Absolutely. Tempo Storm ran up, secured that hillside. That's something we see from teams like FaZe. They love to roll out and just clear out their area. Zampa playing that, and you can see he is kind of carrying the load frags-wise on Tempo Storm right now.
Well, that's always been his designated role. He's the guy that's going to go for the flank. He's the guy that's going to play it aggressive. He's going to be the guy that pushes out there. Meanwhile, the rest of the team's going to feed information, try to help him, try to distract so that way he can get into that spot that we just saw was so effective and just get those kills.
I'm still actually very impressed and kind of sad as to how Motivate allowed NRG to come in too strong and completely destroy them. Inferno is still up, but he is only playing for position now. 11 teams left standing, and that's
a lot of weakened teams over here right now. You can see
absolutely.
Dignitas is taking some casualties. Meanwhile, we've got Orbit that's in their position where they're at. Honeybadgernation's just got eliminated. We got Motivates. Inferno somehow managed to get out of the blue and sneak up back behind the guys from NRG.
So for Team Gates, there you can hear them kind of chatting in the background about how they want to play this. They're in an interesting position. They're in the bowl around the swamp, which is going to be central in this particular next play zone. Nova and Wildcard getting position here to fight each other, however.
Looks like Wildcard's coming out. They seem to be aware of where they're going to be at. Shots are now coming out from the guys from Nova. I'm not sure that they were aware that position on second thought. You can see Richie's in a great spot to catch anybody right as soon as they go on the outside of it. Nade's going for a long-range drop there. Is it going to connect? I think it might roll a little bit to the outside. Actually, looks like a little bit of damage coming through. This is going really bad for the guys on Nova who took the first couple of shots. Finally, Tamai taking a lot of damage, trying to get over there and get to that res. Smokes are now trying to come out. Everybody's trying to push off of the smoke. Circle's now coming right on top of them. This is going to put so much pressure onto all these players. They have to go for reposition. Wildcard has a great lineup on it, and it's just shooting shot after shot. Locknarb goes down. Richie's under a lot of pressure right now. Tamai's just ready to pop up out of the smoke if he wants to. Richie's now taking the blue, and look at the chunk that's coming in on that.
Here comes Tumai. He's going for the finish, and he will get one. Now, Nova did vehicle split, so you see Landune and his teammate have moved a little bit further forward. Now, Wildcard, having gone for that push, put themselves in an interesting position. They have no cover, no vehicles. Nova still under fire. Tumai looking to finish this off. Landune is down. Nerf me the last man standing. And here's Penta going for a res on his teammate as Tumai is trying to get down Nerf. He's got almost no health.
But he's got a couple of people that are paying attention right where he is at. You can see that these guys want this. This is a lot more of the wild card that we see online. People feel really confident in the ones they cheer. They're not afraid to go and take these fights. Hard push in there. Team Gates still has control of that outside position, but you can see NRG's right on the side of this hill, and I think that they've spotted each other.
NRG does have the option to just completely decimate Wildcard, who's found themselves with no cover, having completed that, I mean, initially good push, but they didn't really plan ahead here, but they do have the numbers on NRG, and not to mention, Inferno is lurking behind as well.
But you can see Tamai doesn't have that information. He doesn't know it's a two-man squad. That's why he's afraid to do this push. Smokes are out. They're not afraid to take a couple of long-range shots back over here. Circle's still going to condense down, and I don't think that shack is inside the safe zone all the way, though. But now NRG just lights it up, and they're trying to get this. They're taking the shots. They get the down on one of them. Pizzo goes down. K-Mine has near on no life, just trying to med inside of the smokes, praying that no random bullets connect. He does get the health up. Meanwhile, Maluk goes crazy, stepping on the outside of that slime squad's in a world of hurt.
Zampa pushing on the low side flank. He's cleaning this up. It's only Microstar left. He's going to peek out and shoot. He will take down Zampa. And it's actually two down. Dre's down. NQ's down as well.
That's a full wipe! What is going on with Slime Squad? That is 2 times in 2 different rounds we have seen them perform when under pressure.
Oh my god, that was insane. Microstar stepped out from behind and took down all of Tempo Storm, who were swarming, trying to finish them off. That was incredible.
That was absolutely insane. And now Dignitas is starting to come alive. You know that they've been playing on that outside position. They know they have to push down to Gates. Gates does have the control position. They do have control over the circle, but there are going to be so many people coming in for them. 5 teams still up and active, 12 people alive in total.
For Dignitas, they stepped up over that hill. They did take some shots at NRG, who are still, oh, actually, sorry, excuse me, that's Trigger Happy holding on to the edge of the zone. NRG, unfortunately, eliminated after that long push through that field. Wildcard still hanging on as well, but now it's Dignitas holding that ridge on them. Wildcard just doesn't have a way into the zone.
See, Trigger Happy's Fear Me is way off in the distance, hiding inside of one of the breakable shacks. It's, you know, that's a rough life whenever you have to hide inside of one of those. You can see that Team Gates is in a good position until somebody crests the hill back behind them, and that's where 2 different squads could be approaching on. So as they start to condense down into this spot, Team Gates is firmly aware that they can hear the firefight that's happening, opting to leave the safety of the circle, and they're trying to pop on the outside of it so that way they can at least eliminate one of these squads so they just don't flank down the hill on them. And Echo should see Wookie Bookie any second now.
Exco does take down Wookie Bookie, and now it's Mortify looking for more. Adam down, and he's not moving at all as Team Gates pops up and eliminates Dignitas. Excellent aggression there. Microstar, the hero of the Tempo Storm fight, the last man standing, but now it's going to be essentially the last 2 remaining squads of Wildcard and Team Gates fighting each other here for the finish.
I think at this point we can say that the gates are firmly open on this. Wildcard's trying to go up and get this high ground position. Team Gates is just not letting it happen. Fear is back behind them though, so if he does opt into taking this fight, he can do so much damage to guys from Wildcard. Tamai tries to hit that shot, goes a little bit wide. He needs to connect onto it. Instead, Tamai takes the damage, retreats back on the outside of this. The last player from Slime Squad does manage to make it into the circle as well, very sneakily. So these 2 squads are lining up, pressuring up on top of each other. A lot of shots are going to go back and forth of them. Meanwhile, the solos can just pop up at any second and do so much damage. Uh-oh, Trifelli, I think you've been seeing Fear.
So the flash comes in, but now it's going to be Wildcard going at Team Gates. Team Gates gets the initial down and kill onto Tamai. That's the IGL eliminated. Now for Team Gates, they're backing off. The aggression not full yet. They're trying to recoup and essentially eliminate this flank from Wildcard.
Wildcard still trying to hold up on the outside of it. Trifelli
Wide
does
in
get
the
the
open.
needed down. Trying to step out and around that. A lot of damage coming back from both of these squads. Finally, you can see that it looks like Team Gates starting to get some control over this fight. And so they do have that there, but there are still 3 teams up and alive as Fear Me is still hiding in a corner and Slime Squad's Microstar is still off in the distance.
He's got 6 kills, all of Tempo Storm among them. Fear Me holding on to this little shack. That's all he can do is just wait. He has secured a top 3 finish. And speaking of 3, Team Gates 3 strong, having only lost 1 in that fight with Wildcard. Now looking to take control of the zone and finish off this game.
Right now, Team Gates has complete and utter control. Really, it's going to come down to can either one of these solos inflict enough damage to help the other one. Microstar has been on fire lately.
We've seen him do it.
So let's see if he can get these shots and connect up. They keep peeking back and forth and around.
One
he gets
down,
the down
one down.
onto one of them. Microstar is just going absolutely insane. Steps forward. He wants to get the kills onto this. Meanwhile, you know that the other solo has to hear this. He has to try to get into a position, try to get something on it. Microstar takes a lot of damage there, but he does afflict a little bit CeeLo.
Fear Me's coming.
Fear
Fear Me's
hears
coming.
it. He knows that this is his moment to strike if he's going to do it, and he can rain down the damage from on top. Meanwhile, Mortify's trying to go up, trying to get the res on Mossy. Microstar has given away his position, so it's so risky for him to do any form of peek, opting around, trying to go for the DRM, trying to hit the shots, and no, he just gets taken down. So now it's all onto Fear Me, but he has such a great position.
I really like this, but Fear Me, he's got no helmet. He's got half health. He's only on boost. He's going 3v1. He has the line of sight. The circle does damage to him. That's going to be a problem for him. 1 shot left remaining. This is going to be it, and that is Team Gates taking the game, and you can hear the cries from out in the arena. Wow.
They're on the complete opposite side of the arena from where we are, so you know that they have to be super excited right now. They are hype about this. Again, another team coming up, getting a win. It's just equal.